Back in 1985, a toy commercial of the new 1985 Star Wars Power of the Force figures hit television, and we're going to talk to one of the stars of that commercial. Anyone that collects Star Wars toys knows about the 1985 Power of the Force figures, but many of us don't remember a commercial because we didn't ever see it. I don't know if they just aired it in certain parts of the country. This was at the time when Star Wars was dying down. The toy sales wasn't that great, so maybe they didn't spend a lot of ad money to push this out. And for years, us in the Star Wars collector community thought there was no Power of the Force commercial, or maybe it was just kind of a fever dream. You would get on message boards and people would say, "Oh, I remember coins flying through the air." And other people say, "No, you're just mixing some memories together. This isn't really a thing. It was never this commercial." People searched for years, and then about 6 years ago, the commercial popped up on YouTube. Although some people will argue it's not the full commercial, but if it's missing anything, it's missing like a millisecond and like half of a second at the end. I don't think it's going to show anything. It wasn't like Harrison Ford was going to pop up in that last second saying, "Buy Star Wars figures," or nothing like that. But so we've got it pretty close. But people would sit around on YouTube back before this aired and find old cartoon commercials around this time period, 84, early 85, and scan them trying to wait for a commercial to come on to see if they could find it. So luckily, the guy that posted this up on YouTube 6 years ago is one of the kids from the commercial. I didn't even realize that until a couple of weeks ago when I was watching the video again. Yeah, that's the kind of guy I am. I go back and watch old commercials over and over again. But it's kind of neat. So I reached out to him and kind of want to do an interview with him, so we can kind of get behind the scenes. What is it like? Get to be in a Star Wars commercial. If you're asking who the kid is, he's the one in the window saying, "Wow," or something, pointing up at the coins. So let's take a look at the commercial really quick.
Coming from the farthest reaches of space are the most awe-inspiring, the most desired gifts of the galaxies. They are the Star Wars collector's coins. Every Star Wars action figure comes with one. Dynamic graphic front, action story back, over 60 different coins in the collection. But the best is each and every Star Wars action figure comes with one.
Every figure?
Every figure. Look for the Star Wars collector's coins in your neighborhood.
Well, there it is. There's Josh in that window saying, "Wow," or something like that. I can't remember the line. I'm not a skilled actor like this kid is, or now an adult. But I got to do an interview with him to find kind of behind the scenes. How did he land the role? What was it like filming that day? Did he get any free Star Wars toys? Here now is the interview with the kid from the window with a Power of the Force commercial. Hey everybody, we're here with Josh, the star, although he doesn't have any of the speaking lines, the star of the Power of the Force commercial from 1985.
Well, hang on. I did have some speaking lines. I said, "Wow."
Oh, that's right. You did. Did you have to rehearse that?
I believe we did several takes for that one. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. We'll just start off and kind of get behind the scenes of what went on. First, you done commercials before this one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I did. I was a child actor from the time I was about 5 years old until probably around 12. And then I stopped, and now I do voiceover and have been for like the last 6 to 8 years. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Any other commercials or TV shows we might have recognized the face in?
Well, I was in a movie called The Wrong Guys that came out back in 1988, where I played the comedian Richard Lewis as a kid.
I can kind of see that. I can kind of see that now in your face too. Okay.
And I did other commercials, various toy stuff and food and the like. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So, how did you land this being in Star Wars? I guess you can officially tell people you're in Star Wars.
Yes, I was in an actual Star Wars commercial. I had a child agent at the time, and I was just trying out for various commercials and stuff, and this was one of many that I had tried out for at the time. This was back in, it was either 84 or 85, so I was maybe 7 years old at the time.
Okay.
And certainly I knew about Star Wars. I remember seeing Return of the Jedi in the theaters back in 83.
Yeah.
And when I heard that I had gotten this commercial after I tried out, I thought it was really cool because I was like, oh, maybe I'll get a figure or something out of it.
I guess you didn't.
I did.
Oh,
as
really?
A matter of fact, though, for the life of me, I don't remember where it went. But I live in the Los Angeles area. I remember that the shot was filmed somewhere, I think in the valley, in the San Fernando Valley area, at just a really big house that had a,
Okay. So
window out at the top.
So it was a real house. I was kind of curious if it was a set.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and there was some wardrobe that was needed. I mean, I usually when you go out on these interviews, you bring a whole bunch of different, clothing that they suggest. Always,
Right.
no logos. It's got to be solid colors or whatever. I think I had some sort of a blue sweater or sweatshirt on at that time. There was makeup. I mean, it was a whole day's shoot, if I remember correct. They had, the food that was laid out. I mean, it was a fun thing.
All that just to say, wow. What was your line? Wow. I think that was
I
it.
said, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time the director was saying, oh, now there's going to be all these coins that are flying in the air that we're going to add in post. So, as you look out that window, pretend that it's like, a UFO invasion, but it's the coins. And so you got to say, wow, man. And yeah, I did that a couple of times. There were probably about 3 or 4 shots that I was in. The one from the window, the one where I'm down there holding the package.
So you are one of the kids down at the...
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
In fact, I think I say wow a second time as well when the thing zips in.
You did it so good, they said, we got to have him say wow one more time.
And there may have even been one where you see my hands holding a bucket full of coins that, again, gets added in post.
Okay.
But the neat thing about that, I remember at the very end of it, they did give figures to all the kids.
That's pretty cool.
I remember getting, I don't know, maybe it was like one of the rebel soldiers or something that I had at the time. And of course I took it out of the packaging. I mean, who knew at the time these things were going to be collector's items.
Right.
And then, a couple of weeks later, they told us, it's going to be on TV. And so diligently we got our VCR and we recorded it. In fact, the thing that you might see on the YouTube video, there's even a little glimpse of, I don't know if it's like a Plastic Man promo.
Yeah, it's Plastic Man, yeah.
Because, this was a Saturday morning cartoon thing that they would play it on.
Yeah.
And it got a good number of airings. I want to say
really?
It must have been on at least 6 to 8 times. And the awesome thing about that, because I'm a union actor, is that you get residuals. So every time it aired, I would get a little bit.
So you got
a nice deal.
You got paid more than just an action figure then.
I definitely did.
Okay.
Yeah, that helped with college years later.
Okay. Well, do you know that commercial was so lost media for so many years?
Well, I'm sure that there are a lot of commercials from that era that
they have found.
You can't find.
As far as we know, all the Star Wars commercials have been found except for 2. One was yours, and one was for a free Anakin Skywalker figure that some say was made, some say it wasn't. So, but yours was the hardest one to track down, and people would say I remember the coins flying through the air, and then other people would say, no, you're making it up, And I
remember deciding to post that up on YouTube because for my wedding, which I was looking for footage of when I was a child actor, and so I came upon it again. I'm like, you know what? I'll post this on YouTube. Maybe somebody wants to see this commercial, and I guess was enough of an audience then.
Yeah, we were. I mean, you put a buzz in the collector community. It was like, oh, it's real. It's on YouTube now. In fact, I think your copy ends right at this cuts off like the last second, so there's still people looking for the full clip. But I really doubt it.
I think that's the whole thing. I mean,
I think it's just starts to fade off and it ends right there. But I doubt there's any more. But I myself has watched. People upload like Saturday morning cartoons with the commercials. So we would scan through all those cartoons trying to find it. So you saved us a lot of time and a lot of headache.
Well, I'm glad to have helped the community.
Okay. So you must have been kind of shocked when you got pretty decent views on it and some compared to for just throwing something up there. You were probably like, what's crazy?
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, kind of cool. But so you knew it was Star Wars when you tried out for it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Though I didn't know how they were going to end up doing it. I remember when I watched it for the first time, I was really impressed with, the type of, post stuff that they added there. I mean, this is kind of pre-CG, and it was all just, composited in, and it looked really neat.
It looked pretty cool. Did they let you see it before it aired, or you just had to wait for it to air.
Nope, they just said look for it on TV on these channels at this time, and sure
Okay, at
enough,
least they gave you a ballpoint of the other
Yeah.
times.
we recorded the whole Plastic Man episode just to hope that it would come, and it did.
I've had people try to find that Plastic Man episode with commercials just to see if they can find it. Which is odd because Plastic Man went off the air in '79, from what I can find out. So maybe they re-airing it
They
on
must
Saturday
have-
morning. Yeah.
Yeah, they must have had like a Hanna-Barbera thing where they re-aired it. that
Yeah,
time.
because those coins came out in '85, so you probably filmed it end of '84, probably,
Could have been.
or early
Yeah.
'85.
Yeah,
Yeah.
around that same time, I was also on an episode of Pound Puppies.
Ah.
So I mean, I was during that golden time in the '80s when they had all those cartoons. But yeah, I played an owner in an episode called Casey Come Home,
Casey
which
Come
I believe you can still find on YouTube. I played Jonathan, so
Oh,
I have
oh, somebody
a
has to
little
watch, yeah.
cartoon version of myself I could always use as an avatar.
Does it look like you? Do they make it look like you?
It kind of did.
It kind of did?
Yeah.
Or it looked like a young Richard Lewis.
Yeah, right. Well, that was later. That was '88, but yeah,
Yeah. But you can say that cartoon's a young Richard Lewis.
that's right.
I don't remember that Richard Lewis movie, but I can't remember many of his.
Yeah, well, look it up. I'm
Yeah.
sure you can find it. Yeah, the
Well,
one guy.
Well, I hate to do a short interview, but I think you went through everything I want to know was kind of behind the scenes.
No,
I'm trying to think if there's
glad to
anything
provide
else.
it.
I mean, you didn't do anything else Star Wars later, and you hadn't, at least you hadn't
Well,
milked it and showed up at conventions.
I did other Star Wars stuff, but not as an actor. I was
Oh.
later a game producer for a company called Jax Pacific. They were the company
Oh.
that made those Pac-Man controllers. Remember the plug and play? You'd plug them into your television.
Yeah,
put
and they make
batteries
some of the Star Wars toys now. Yeah.
Right. And so I was
Okay.
a producer on a couple of games that were Star Wars related. There was one
That's
that we
pretty
made
cool.
that was a joystick that looked like like an X-wing joystick.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
Yeah.
they did that for the Clone Wars. And I remember going to Lucas headquarters in San Francisco area, and I had to show the executives. I showed it off, so it was cool. I got a chance to see the campus at the time, so that
Oh,
was
that's
really neat.
yeah, that's pretty good time
And then
too.
years later, I worked for Disney. I was a game
Oh, really?
producer for Disney when they had their games on the website. It was like games.disney.com, and we had the Star Wars license, and
Yeah.
so there were a few games that I had a chance to work on as a producer, and got to add a couple of backstory things that are now canon,
Yeah.
having to do with Star Wars Rebels.
Oh, that's pretty. That's very neat. You attribute it to the canon in some
Yeah.
way.
So
That's-
yeah,
that's-
there it is. That's my Star Wars involvement.
That's just. Did you do any more toy commercials, or was that the only toy commercial?
I did other commercials. I'm trying to remember. There must have been like a Transformers commercial I did at one time. I did some other ones for like AT&T. I mean, it was a nice little thing from the time I was about 5 till 11.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
But I mean, you're in good company. We got Ricky Schroeder's in a Star Wars commercial, and Kristen Slater's
Ah.
is in a Star Wars commercial, and I think the kid from the Christmas Story. So
Oh wow.
he was probably in that world auditioning for stuff at the same time they all were, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, I knew it'd be a short interview because there's not much we can say for just looking out the window and saying you. We'll get this. Say your line one more time so everybody can trust. Because people ask me, said, "Are you sure this guy's not just screwing with you?"
Hold on. Let me get my method active.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, you still have it. You still have
Oh,
it.
right.
You're good, huh? I'm sure you're. Well, I guess you're married. Your wife gets you to do that all the time.
Well, I have 2 kids, and as a matter
Ah.
of fact, they both do voiceover.
Oh, that's
So
pretty cool.
We're still sort of keeping the acting tradition
Yeah.
going.
Okay, so you didn't, when you met your wife, you didn't try to brag and be like, "Hey, I'm the kid from the Star Wars window," and she's like, "What are you talking about?"
I mentioned I had done child acting.
Okay.
And, I got a chance to kind of show the stuff, and it was kind of cool.
Okay, okay. Well, I saw that video you posted, and I didn't realize that like last week I was just looking at it again for some reason, and that's when I looked at the description and it said that you were in it, and I was like, "Wait a minute." I didn't even notice that the first 6 years it was up there. But okay, like I said, that's about all I got for you.
All right.
Anything you want to plug or anything else? Your website or anything?
Yeah, well, if you want to check out some of the voiceover stuff that I do, I actually do audiobook narration and various other things. You can go to joshhorowitz.com and you can listen to my demos and other things. There is another Josh Horowitz. He's
Yes.
the one who is the MTV interviewer.
And he comes up related to Star Wars a lot too, so it was really throwing me off. Yeah.
Yeah. I do podcasting. I have my own, where I'm a big fan of the movie Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, it's a good movie. A lot of people watch this will like that movie too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and I ended up doing a podcast with fellow fan Brett Stillo. It's called 5 Minutes of Trouble. 5minutesoftrouble.com. You can check it out. It's also on the different podcast places. And we discuss the film in 5-minute chunks each episode.
Oh, that's
so
pretty cool.
It's 20 episodes when we get through the whole film, and it's pretty crazy. We got some people from the show or from the actual movie to come and talk about it a little bit, and other podcasters. It's a fun little romp.
That first 5 minutes is probably some hard to get through. I mean, to talk about, because
a lot of stuff in 5 minutes, especially when you.
Yeah, I guess with that movie. Yeah, now that I think about that movie, you're probably right. I'm gonna ask you something a little bit more controversial, maybe then, since you do voiceover.
Yes.
And the audiobooks. What's your thought on all this AI voiceover and stuff?
Yeah, I mean they are taking jobs away, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I just need one little sound clip, and I say, well,
yeah.
I mean,
one of the things that voiceover actors are doing these days is actually turning their own voice into AI and selling it.
Oh,
so, I mean, that's one way that you can kind of work with the system. But yeah, I mean, there is a difference between AI voices and
I can never get it,
especially in audiobooks. But if you want to have it sound more natural, it costs more. So
and
you have to compete with the robots, basically.
Yeah, I can never get it where it sounds. I've done some things where I wanted to sound like a human for one or two little sentences, and it's just you can always kind of tell. But then again, 10 years from now, who knows, right?
They're getting better. Yeah, I know.
Because it's changed a lot.
If you can't beat them, join them. So.
Yeah. You got to adapt with it, because if not, you'll get left behind. So, okay. Well, I guess that's that. Like I said, that's it. Kind of short interview. Hopefully, people enjoy seeing some kind of behind the scenes of the commercials.
No. Thanks for inviting me on this.
No problem. And I'll put a link in the description for your website and everything. So that podcast sounds interesting for sure.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay. That's all I needed.
All right.
Okay.
Take it easy.
Thank you. Well, that was a lot of fun. I mean, kind of got to see behind the scenes of a Star Wars commercial. Hey, you don't get to hear that too often, so that was kind of cool. And it's cool that he's still doing voice work and everything. It seems like a really great guy. In fact, I really want to check out that podcast. It sounds awesome. I love Big Trouble in Little China. I didn't know about that podcast. I'm going to check it out. So I'll put links in the description for all that and below so you can find his website and his podcast. And I guess that's it. Anything I forgot to ask him, let me know in the comments. I'll shoot him over email. We can get the answer for you, maybe. But it was a lot of fun. Again, thank you for watching. Thumb up so you like my content. Subscribe to the channel. We'll talk again.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.